Last week, we saw a track that has disappeared from the F1 schedule. This week, we find the reverse with Zandvoort. Absent for over 30 years, it's managed to return and has gotten a facelift in the process. Let's see if the old dog has new tricks as we get ready to watch round 3 of the Camel GT series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Greg King. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. iRacers have known about Zandvoort for quite a while now, but they haven't seen it in the sim like this yet. Let's take a look at the newest version with our track guide. Welcome to Circuit Park Zandvoort. This legendary track directly to the west of Amsterdam and a stone's throw away from the shore of the North Sea has seen more than half a century of racing history. After a brief period of being closed, it was rebuilt in the 90s and then given a huge facelift in 2019 to see the return of Formula One. It retained its 4.25-kilometer length and 14 turns for the Grand Prix course, while the other 3 versions also stayed mostly unchanged. But the biggest adaptations were the additions of steep banking in Hugenholtz and Leyendyk. The unusual progressive banking in Hugenholtz in particular stands out as it brings the oval racing staple to the twisty side of motorsports and has produced action-packed results. Meanwhile, Leyendyk's new camber means that this corner is now easily flat out in pretty much every car and gives even better chances to try and overtake into the famous Tarzan. That said, passing is notoriously difficult at this highly technical track. And while it's much slower than its original guise, it still has some frighteningly fast corners, including Givlock. If you're brave, the Hans Ernst chicane can sometimes offer chances to sneak by someone, but it can often become a clumsy wreck if you're not careful. The amounts of cash poured into the upgrades certainly produce more than just a fresh coat of paint. The spectacular racing put on by everything from open-wheelers to touring cars and sports cars is almost never dull. It's no wonder the Dutch fans come out in droves when the green flag waves here. Well, there you see some of the changes that have taken place here, Craig, but in spite of that, I think it's going to be just as difficult as it typically is.
It always is, Joe. Yes, well, as you were saying before, this is the classic track in motorsport. In the last 5 years, it's got this fresh look, and it's still an unlucky 13 turns. But it does feature 3 important camber turns: Tarzan, Hugenholtz, and Arie Luyendyk. Now, they all carry importance to the drivers, and they can be taken with many different lines. But for Hugenholtz, expect to see drivers take that high banking. Now, for the GTP, it's at the downforce-dependent track, so expect to see the Nissans taking a lot of places flat, like at Rob Slottermacher. But they will be under the pressure with the braking zones at turn 9 and turn 10, and into Hans Ernst, with the latter causing tyre issues as the cars will enter the final high-speed corner with a little bit of warm tyres. Now, for the GTOs, they want to take caution into the flowing corners like Givlock and Masters, while also avoiding understeering off the camber in Tarzan, because camber will be their friends today, before they experience their own troubles, though, at Hans Ernst, separate to how the Nissans will. Multiclass will be an unknown factor here today to anyone who hasn't taken part in any of the hot split races this week. The delta is just over 10 seconds, and the Nissans will have trouble getting past the Audis in the tighter sections of the track, due to the lack of long straights, and of course, the classic track, it is still quite narrow here. This is a layout that's been requested by the community over the last 2 years. Finally, Joe, we get to see some action around here.
Yeah, I'm very curious, since this will be our first time broadcasting this new layout on the channel, so hopefully it'll help the racing out. As let's take a look at the race details for this one, because up at the top of things, we have to remember this is going to be the sprint format, so they're not going to have a whole lot of time to try and make up those positions at a track where it's so tough to pass at. Now, it is open setup. I expect many will be cranking as much wing and downforce as they can into these cars, and they have no spare car. This is quite an old school track without much runoff in most places, so expect off courses to wind up in the wall in a lot of situations. They have a drive-through penalty at 17 incidents and a DQ at 25. So you got to keep it within those track boundaries and make sure you don't dip a wheel outside of the lines too frequently. We're now in qualifying. We're waiting for the first times to be set Very curious to see how this new banking that they've got will help the racing, if it will help the racing.
I'm really going to be curious myself. I think we're going to see some definite moves at Ari Luijendijk, which is the last corner, as we were talking about. The running from Koomho up to that is just going to be flat out once you exit that penultimate corner. Start to see some of the GTPs coming by now. That's going to be a definite overtaking corner. Now, in the old days, Tarzan at turn 1, that could be looked at as an overtaking corner, Joe. However, there is camber there now, and I'm going to be quite concerned because some drivers may forget about that, and they might just push those Audis, just a little bit wide there. That's my concern.
Well, Van de Zandt is not too concerned as he's got the provisional pole right now, but we haven't got a lap from Valenteus. Remember, he usually comes in and dominates whenever he shows up, so Alexander's probably going to have to make sure that he's very quick today if he wants to keep that pole. In fact, Andreas just crossed with a 1:18 flat, and that is half a second quicker than Van de Zandt.
Yeah, he was doing practice earlier in the warm-up sessions, and he really had that pace on, and now he is out there straight away. But just look at this with Van der Zandt. He comes down. This is Hans Ertz, and just look, they take that. This is a little bit of camber. You've got to be careful. The lines you can take that corner. Some cars in sports cars, you want to cut that little corner there and then go wide. And now, Koolhof straight in to the final corner. Look how low he goes down here. It's looking like a good lap, but he's going to have to find 4 tenths. I'm not sure if he's going to find it. He'll come across the line. He finds a 10th. It's not enough.
So he'll stay in second for now. Javier Dolmo's on his second flying lap, so he's going to try and topple him. Topi Kortaniemi, by the way, on the provisional pole over in the GTOs. Ian Brassfield is the one that's behind him, but it's a similar gap at about 5 tenths over there.
Yep, we'll keep our eyes on that. Topi now is coming up to his final corners as well. He really needs to try and just extend that lead. He's the only man in the 31s at the moment, the only driver in the 31s, and just look at how different those lines are. The Nissan Audis having to go wider there, and they can't take that inside. Vantageous though, where has that lap just come? And then Syandra throws in an 18.166. Topi tries to improve and does.
Brassfield does not, so he's not going to challenge Topi. Kundalis just finished his lap, so he's done. But you're right, Andra onto the front row, displacing Alexander Van de Zandt. Things are very much up in the air. Javier Del Olmo coming over from the GTOs this season to the GTPs is sitting in fourth and really doing quite well over there. Timothy Vaughn, in the meantime, on his second lap, looks like he's good enough for third. Excellent.
Yep, he did improve, but that was enough just to jump a couple positions. As Timothy Reed, he's now looking for some times himself as he's in the GTP. And again, look how much they go straight down, full speed in. Is he going to get into the 18s? An 18.697, good enough for P7, just missing out on P6. Look at that gap between him and Jack Davies Spickett.
1/1000th of a second between them, and they've gotten bumped down. Pepe Fuentes now goes to third in the GTPs. It is looking like it is going to be a competitive field up there. In fact, Andra and Fuentes also separated by about 0.02 of a second themselves. It does look like we're close to everybody having qualified at this stage. I'm checking, see if anybody else needs to set a time. I see Nicholas Yielding ready to put one in, and I think that might be about it. Josh Brain. Well, Kurt Clapper, remember, he almost never qualifies.
So you're saying that this is just going to be one of his very slow laps? He's got 1 minute and 10 left out there, and yeah, he's just come onto Slotomacher, so I think, yeah, he won't be qualifying. That's one of the people we always forget about there, Joe. We always like to see it. You know, as much as I don't like going on, like, when I look at the drivers they go high up, you know, look at the places they gain or what they started from the back. It is always interesting to see how Kurt makes his way up the field as Josh Brain puts in a P10.
Yeah, Kurt and Jason both do that frequently, and Brain is into 7th. He is the last one able to set a time. So let's go through our starting order. Andreas Valenteus, no shock there. He's going to be starting from the pole over Cy Andra, who's looking to challenge him. Pepe Fuentes will start from P3 as Alex Van de Sant will be 4th, and Javier Del Olmo P5. Laust Olsen starts 6th today, followed by Jack David Spickett in 7th. Timothy Reed, only good enough for 8th, our current reigning champion. Not quite as high as we anticipated there. Brennan Lim will start from 9th, and Fabian Jungbluth rounds out your top 10. Hamilton Ruiz will be 11th. He'll have Gaston Santarelli in the outside of him. And Shady Ahmad will be 13th. Martin Krajcik, P14. Then it's Daniel Gomez on the inside of the next row. Aaron Humphrey on the outside of row 8. And Bjorn Ackerman starts from 17th. Gianluca Gabbiani, P18. And Pablo Suarez in 19th position with Santiago Ramirez on the outside of row 10. Hernie Quesada starts 21st, followed by Silberneger in 22nd, the last driver to set a time. Jason Clapper, Kurt Clapper, and Don Runkle Jr. will round out your field of GTPs.
We go to the GTOs, and it's Yuko Leskala, pole position once again, and Topi Kotanemi just behind him there in P2. Then it's Timothy Vaughan in 3rd, and Ian Brassfield in 4th. Arturos Candelas can only manage 5th place there, and Noel Lundberg making a return in 6th. And then Josh Brain bumps up to 7th position with Marty Ollie in 8th. Ovi Trengarade, again, 9th position there, and Doug Cloud in 10th. That's going to be a tough battle for those two. And meanwhile, when we go straight down, it's going to be Seamus Power in 11th position, followed by Ian Haycox in 12th. Ivan Ubera will be 13th, and Cam Porter with a 14th, with Jamie Hamill-Smith in 15th, and Nils Hoyt in 16th. Alejandro Silva Caride will be 17th, and Nick Lance will be 18th. And then Arnold Koch will take 19th, and Nicholas Yielding will be 20th. That leaves Jesus Marunde as the final time qualifier in 21st, with Carlos Fonseca, Duncan Marias, and Mika Tupelo not setting a time. 25 GTPs, 24 GTOs in a single split today, Joe.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty filled to the brim out there at this track. It's a decent length lap, but not all that long. So I have a feeling that the traffic's going to get confusing very quickly. And you can see we've got cool temperatures. It's a little past 10 o'clock in the morning here, virtual standard time, just off of the North Sea. So the drivers getting ready to try and warm those tires up on the pace lap as they wait for the last of them to grid up. Looks like that's it, actually, and they're good to go, taking off behind the pace car to prepare for this race. First time that we're getting to see how the new Zandvoort races here on the channel, but some of the drivers have had a chance to try and use it. We're on week 3, so I'm curious how many have put the practice in here, Craig.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's not a track that I think a lot of people would have circled on their calendar this season. However, it is a track that a lot of people do love driving. And I don't know if you've seen some of the stats. I think a lot of drivers are just picking up this track and finding any car they want to drive around here in anger, just because it's such a fun track to drive. It's got so much flow nowadays. So I'm really going to be curious to see how these Nissan drivers, are going to like this track. It's a very interesting design there from Valantages. Is that meant to be like a Kraken or like a dragon skin or something? I'm not sure what that's meant to be.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a closer look. It's very psychedelic, I will say that. And interesting stuff that he's got going on with it. Almost looks like AI designed it or something. But and I apologize if I have offended somebody who has designed this one intentionally. But Audrius is going to be difficult to miss out there. That is for sure. That's an eye-catching paint scheme that he's got. As we now come through Sheevlock and take a look back at the Audis. Now, have you had a chance to hop out in the Audis to test around here, Craig? Is it flat out through that final Lion Dyke corner with the banking?
I haven't, but looking with the way with some of the drivers earlier today in this practice, I believe that some of them were taking that pretty flat. Again, they have to use all of the track there when they go on the exit, so they've got that ability. So I think they may have to do a small tap, or a small lift, sorry, not a small tap, just a small lift to get in, but it's got so much camber. It does remind me a bit like Daytona, the banking at Daytona, where you think that you're going to have trouble, but they're okay there. So it's going to be quite interesting. These corners, I'm very interested in though when we see these GTPs, because back in the days of the old track, you had to set yourself up on the first corner to make an overtake into the second. So you had to set yourself up at 9 to make an overtake into 10. They never changed this section, so expect to see some side by side through 9 and 10, I reckon.
Yeah, it'll be down to how good you are with mechanical grip, I imagine. Those are such slow corners. And then it picks up speed on one of the few decently length straights down here to Hans Ernst into this sharp braking zone, which offers up chances to pass, but you're going to have to work together, I imagine, to make it through that chicane. In the meantime, looks like we're getting ready to go here in just a moment as they're backing off the pace car a little bit, giving some space. Valenteus maybe wanting to give himself a nice shot down the main straight once he gets that chance at the green flag. They're out through Kumho and into the new Lyondike corner. This used to be flat in the last iteration, and even the one before the modern one. It was flat in the olden times, although even faster way back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. So you can imagine how frightening that was. Here we go. Pace car now getting ready to peel off, and Sayandra is pinching down right next to Valenteus. Let's hope that they don't actually make contact and trip over each other. There's no place to escape here. There it is. Green flag is out. Valenteus is on the loud pedal, and he actually catches Sayandra napping a little bit with Fuentes poking up the inside, but no, he brakes deep enough that he's able to hold on to that second place. Not seeing any accidents with the prototypes through Tarzan. Let's go to the GTOs.
Yeah, we're going to see a free wide, though. You start to see one move. Ian Brassfield, out of nowhere, just taking 2 positions there with a free wide. He's going to go side by side, though, with Timothy Vaughan. Cannot make that move as they head down into Gulakbok. And you just start to see some of the drivers struggling there. You see that number 11 of Kundelas. He's trying to make some moves, but it's all pretty quiet at the front. But there has been a moment with a GTP as they come by in the barriers.
That was Pablo Suarez, and he actually ran into, it looks like, Gaston Santarelli, who had been spinning around. Not sure if he was the one that started it, but he actually wound up on his lid. We'll check that in a little bit. Did not start how I think they wanted on that one, and definitely cost a couple drivers some damage. As we take a look now up at Laust Olsen, he's in 5th, currently gained at least 1 spot from the start.
Yep, gained 1 position, and you can see he's trying to just set himself going here. Pocket cam is enabled, and you start to see he just gives himself a little bit of a breath, and here we go, full speed around Ari Lyondike here for the start of lap 2. Gives himself a little break. That's one benefit of this corner right now. Gives yourself the break. Can he catch up there? He knows that he's got a very tough challenge here with Pepe Fuentes in front of him, but if he can just pull away from the rest behind, he might be in with a shot here.
Let's see if he can hold on to him. Watch them ride the outside here. Just like you saw in real life, the progressive banking means that the high line is the faster way around. Very much opposite to what many usually anticipate in banked corners. Ackerman is in, and it looks like...
Sorry, Timothy Vaughan just had an accident. Sorry to interrupt. Timothy Vaughan just had an accident, and he spun off, and he managed to collect. I think he collected. I think that was Kundelas that also got hit by him.
Yeah, Brendan Lim tried to cross over on Niels Hoyt, and that caused Hoyt to have to head into pit lane. Looks like Arnold Koch got caught up in it, and Pablo Suarez. My goodness, it was a messy one coming off the bank, and you were right. Drivers need to be very aware of those Audis tracking out.
Yeah, and I think that is what's caught a lot of drivers off there, because if you haven't done any practice, or haven't managed to practice with traffic around you, you're not going to imagine what you're going to be seeing there. So it'd be interesting to see. We come back to look at that replay afterwards, but straight away, that was definitely a retirement there for Timothy Vaughan. And now we're just going to see this moment. There he goes, just straight up there and nowhere for Josh to go.
Oh, when somebody else actually tumbles into the 11, wow, that was a pretty big accident, unfortunately. And another one that we've got coming out of Tarzan. So that was Timothy Vaughan. And then a separate one, poor Josh Brain, without much place to go.
No, and that's the problem as well, because you know how we go back to that oval mentality, Joe, where it was banking corners. the terminology in ovals says self-cleaning track, which means if there's an accident, the cars go down to the bottom. Now, there isn't the type of gravel that we see in the F1 on that corner there. But on the sim, it's not a self-cleaning track. So if there's an accident up top, you are forced to go low. But with everyone going high, it's so hard to make that split decision.
Absolutely. That was Nick Laux that ran into him for the second time. Unfortunately, back to Laust Olsen, still chasing on Fuentes, who's about a second and a half off of third at this stage. Those top three really running away and distancing themselves from the rest of the pack. That's Del Olmo in the orange machine that's chasing on Olsen. Yeah,
this is a weird one for Laus. He's used to seeing Del Olmo behind him, but usually in a GTO, not a GTP. And he's doing really well, Javier, in his season, in his first season for a long time in this prototype, and he's really just holding on. Interesting to see the speed that they can catch up on that start-finish straight, but they can't make a move into Tarzan. Because again, remember that banking corner is going to be very tough. But a small mistake on the exit there of Hugenholz can set up Javier here, but it's not. Timothy Reed is also getting caught up here.
Yeah, Timothy Reed, like I said, a bit surprising that he was as far down as he was. He's gained one spot since the start. But last season, I mean, he was just taking win after win. So not sure what's changed, if maybe just isn't putting the practice time in, or if we're seeing more faster competitors start to show up. Regardless, he's very much on the back of this train and is trying to put the pressure onto Javier.
Yeah, put the pressure onto Javier, and then he can get to Laos. It's early days in the race, 35 minutes left in the race, and it's a tough track for overtaking, not just in the Formula One, but in other cars as well, so they have to be careful. Timothy Reed is coming out of Kumhol and on to Ari Luijendijk there. He is losing a little bit of time, but just watch how much he's able to catch up on the start-finish straight. But again, because of that banking at Tarzan box, they will not be able to make any late moves there. Just there, you can see Javier was looking at it. It's very tough.
But they are going to be hitting traffic soon, because already Valenteus has reached the back of the GTO field. And it's one thing for a leader who's all on his own to catch them and try to pick them off one by one, but drivers battling for position, this is where it starts to blow up.
This is where they call it the danger time here. And we're going to see what can happen. Andreas there, trying to make his moves and get past Tupola straight away. But those three cars we were talking about, Laos, Javier, Timothy, even Jack is there. We've got a GT off. That's Jesus Arunde already off as well. But these three are going to have to try and struggle here. And they're in turn 9 and turn 10. That's where it's going to be the worst for these cars.
So there goes Andra. That's our second place driver. That tells you how much time Andreas has already put on everybody and getting blocked up. Unfortunately, Van de Sant has no opportunity to try to get through. He's going to try and play it safe. It looks like, even when he does, though, Cartier, unfortunately, moving when he didn't expect it. They always tell the lapped drivers to hold their line.
Yeah, let's just look how high these GTOs have to hold. They're not used to staying that high on that part of the corner there, but the GTPs have to go there. Javier almost just in the distance there, looked for a move, but was unable to make it. And all of a sudden, you've got Fuertes, Olsen, Del Olmo, Reed, Spickett, and Youngblood all together. Look at Del Olmo trying to make a move there into Golak. Could not make it. He's got such a good run, though, out of Husseron.
And as they start to pick up, it looks like he's got a good chance into Shevlock. If it offered some braking, usually it doesn't. It's just a lift, and most cars with downforce like these things, you could see how he washes out behind him. Timothy Reed getting ever closer, but he's got no place to take it, as now JDS and Jungbluth are catching.
Yeah, and even Hamilton Barra-Reese is also trying to get up there as well. And this is the section that it looks like Laos is the strongest. But again, he gets on the throttle, a little bit of a slide, allows Del Olmo to just catch up there. More GTOs coming by. They're going to be splits up here. And if they hit Tahans Ernst, there's going to be a couple more GTOs in front. Who's going to get the run through Kumhol to make a bookmark? It's going to be in front of Laos Olsen, Pepe Fuertes. That's going to hold them up a little bit. And now free. I would not be surprised to see Del Olmo make a move here.
He's got a good slipstream covering the inside. Laos Olsen's going to make life hard for him. Could box him in. He gives him just enough space as they go side by side with Cam Porter. And they squeak through with Olsen still in P5. And he caught up to Fuentes there.
Yeah, Fuerte's also got held up there, and now we see a 2 wide for the GTOs and a 2 wide for the GTP. That is the lead, near the lead battle. As in Haycock's there with Seamus Power, trying to find a move. Del Olmo can't find a move. Pepe Fuertes gets boxed in, and again, another box in. David Del Olmo forced to take the grass there. Holds on to this as well, but this is some very dicey moves. Everyone's trying to find another way. Pepe Fuertes held up for a 3rd time in the space of a mile.
He has been shuffled all the way down to 7th. Remember, he was in 4th position there. So he has been cost dearly by this whole situation. And amazingly, Del Olmo is still driving that thing in spite of the off that you mentioned there, cutting through the grass. Ian Haycock's also having to dive out of the way as they were zigzagging through the traffic.
Yeah, and Pepe now is trying to make up for lost time. He knows that there's still 4 GTOs in front. That is Leskala, Courtenay, Brasfield, and Lundberg. He can still catch up to this because he does not want to be at the back of this battle. He wants to be at the front. That's no offense to JDF. That's just him. He realizes he's gone from 4th all the way down to 7th in the matter of a lap just because of the way the traffic flowed there. There is Timothy Reed. He's trying to catch up. There's the last few GTOs.
Down into Tarzan once again, leading the way of this group. Looks like Olsen is already caught up to the back of Van de Sant there. He's just got about 3/10 to try and see if he can challenge the number 14 for a podium position. Ooh, but there, oh, right there's a great opportunity. That was lap traffic in the form of Courtenay, 2nd place in the GTOs that held up Van de Sant.
And that's also held up Olsen. That's also held up to allow Javier Del Olmo to start coming into it, and even Timothy Reed is looking like it. So after all that, these 4 cars, are still going to be glued together. And again, another hold up there as Van der Sant on the exit of 10 is going to have a little bit of a check up there on Leskala. And will Laus get by? No, he will not. Welcome to the bookmark, Laus. Unfortunately, he's going to lose a bit of time here, and that will bring him back into the battle with Javier Del Olmo. It is not going well, but traffic giveth and traffic taketh away the almost taps Leskala.
Oof, thankfully, I think they didn't make contact, but he definitely scared him by taking the racing line as close as he could without actually shoving that Audi off course. Behind him, the bright orange Del Olmo has himself in his sights, along with Timothy Reed trailing as well. There you can see both of them coming off of Tarzan. So they've passed the entirety of the GTO field at this stage, but how quickly will they catch the back of it once again?
Well, that took them about 7 laps, and we're looking at about 30 laps here, so they've got another 2 times at least getting past those GTOs. And the 2nd and 3rd time, they should be more spread out, but that could be the worst situation because just a random car might just cause the issues here. But we'll go back to that GTO battle because Noel Lundberg has been battling pretty well, and that previous lap, Brasfield did have a moment at Gerlach right before they went into Hugenholz, and it does show because all of a sudden he is being hounded by Noel Lundberg, who makes his return, I believe. Can't remember, but Lundberg, has he raced this season? Can't remember.
I wouldn't say he has, but I'll have to double check. Meantime, look at how much traffic they're still getting with these GTPs just relentlessly interrupting the fight, and that has spread them out significantly.
Spread them out just what you want. Remember, the traffic also affects the slower class cars here. They've got to make some adjustments, and that is just what we're talking about there. Is Daniel Gomez just having to take that move on Brasfield, and Brasfield having to just wait to turn in there, losing 4/10 on Lundberg, and Lundberg's right back in it here as they come up to Aaron Leyendijk here. Just watch the lines. Now finally they can take proper lines through this corner after the GTPs having to make their way around. Now can Lundberg make a run here? He gets quite a bit of slipstream here. That's going to be very crucial. But as they come into Tarzan, it does not matter. He catches up, and they've got 7 seconds between them and the 2 cars behind. But you'd think that they'd be pretty content here, just pulling away before they start battling.
Yeah, still a lot of race left to go, and from what we've seen, it seems like opportunities will arise if you stay patient, Greg.
You've got to stay patient here, and I think that is the name of the game right now, is just the patience game, because you can just see the chaos that was caused by the traffic. Remember, old track, yes, it's been renovated, but they have not widened some of these corners. Just look at that through Sheeblack into Masters. It is still a narrow section as you start to see Lumbo really starting to put the pressure and tighten the screw. Getting a really good run on the exit there of 9, but could not capitalize on it. He's got so much ability and grip through 9 and 10 that it is starting to affect Brassfield here, and he's having to look behind more than he's looking in front.
He's playing a good defense, though, but this is a track where you can hold position if you hold your line well enough. It's just you can't always be on the racing line when you're racing in Camel GT, as we have just seen. So eventually he's going to get interrupted again. That, of course, is Josh Brain behind them that is still trying to catch up. You're only getting flashes of him, so he's continuing to lose a little ground here, it appears. As we fly down the front stretch, I don't think it's going to be quite enough for Lundberg.
No, I don't think he's not going to be able to hold on to that. So here he goes again, and I think really he now knows that he's got so much speed in 9 and 10. Maybe he can now start to look at setting himself up through those corners. Going to be very interesting. I've just paid attention up to the front of the field because Valentejas has started to lap GTOs again. That's pretty quick. I don't know if these are stragglers at the back of the field or that's how quick he is, but there are quite a few GTOs, so this could happen all over again pretty quickly. But we're watching this. These two do not want to see GTPs.
Yeah, the car he's going to lap is going to be Mika Tupola, who currently actually sits 12th in the GTO class and has gained 12 positions since the start. So he's been having a good run himself. Just wanted to give him a little love, considering he survived some of the chaos early to at least get himself track position as we watch these two off of turn 9, down the back stretch to Hans Ernst.
Down they go again, and just to see the lines they take here, look how much curb that Ian wants to cut there, and cutting that curb does help because it allows you to just get a little bit wider. We've got to go back though to this battle in the GTPs though, because Lars Olsen is getting hammered there by Javier Del Olmo, and Timothy Reed is right there. They come around into Masters, and 9 and 10, just with the corners that Lars was struggling earlier on in the race, you'll start to see blue names up on the relative. He's going to have to get ready for another bout of traffic. Can he hold on to this P4? He's already lost 2 seconds to Van der Sand.
Yielding's the next one up, and I think they're going to get him just as they exit out of this chicane here, so it depends on if he holds to the right. Yes, he's going to just hold station there, stay out of their way. All three are able to siphon on through, and then we hit the banking once again.
Hit the banking, and we're on board with Laus here with the camera. Let's see if the Pucker Cam gets involved, because Javier was right on the back of him before they hit Ari Lyondike here, and he may be able to do it. And you can see that Laus has to go on the defense here. Could be very tough to go around the outside of Javier Del Olmo. A slide there from Laus, and that allows it. That opens it up for Javier Del Olmo, and around the outside of Tarzan. What a move from Javier Del Olmo.
Brilliant stuff there from the number 5 to make that one work. Now can he set off after Van de Sant, now that he's gotten clear, as he's gained 1 spot from where he started, interestingly, after that pass. Was just kind of stuck where he began this thing up to this stage. And we're already almost halfway through this race. It has flown by.
Yeah, it's flown by. It's amazing when you look at how quickly this lap goes as well, how easily it has flown by, and that's why we're a little bit surprised that we're already this far into the traffic. Here's Jimmy Hamill-Smith, though, as you see on the other side of the track, other cars going by. Not been the race that he wanted so far. He currently sits in P8. Hamill-Smith, sorry. I was looking at Jack David Spickett. Hamill-Smith is also P8 as well. What a surprise at that. He's in his own little battle here. He's got Cam Holzer in front, Ivan Ubera behind, and the goggly eyes return, Joe.
Hamill-Smith with his motion rig. You can see it moving around as he gets that haptic feedback to let him know what's happening with the car. Chasing down the front stretch into the banking of Tarzan. Porter's going to hold on to that 7th position for now, but let's remember, behind him, Ubera is close behind, and they've got these battling cars.
Yeah, they've got that battling GTP traffic, and Javier Del Olmo almost had to go on the defense there going into Tarzan on Lars Olsen. Now, this is something interesting because I talked about the speed differences here. One thing I forgot to mention, some of these GTOs have to hit the brakes up through Schlossermacher, and you start to see that's just held up a lot of drivers. Timothy Reed getting held up behind, which allows Pepe Fuertes to go by. But for Hamel Smith, well, I think that's a little bit scary seeing all those cars go by where they can go flat out and you can't.
Yeah, I mean, just coming upon traffic anywhere. Oh, into the side of Cam Porter. There was a big thwack. Who was that just ran into him?
Hamilton Ruiz. Hamilton Ruiz there. I think he just got a little bit too hot and had a little bit of a slide, and now he's going to be side by side with Jack David Spickett. And it looks like that JDS is going to take this position. He will indeed, but that damage to Cam almost allows Hamel Smith to get by, but he cannot. And Hamel Smith is going to get held up by Fabian Youngblood here as they come through Hans Ernst.
Oof. They split on either side of Cam as he was sliding the car out of the corner. I'm sure that got his heart rate going. Up next for him, going to be Shady Ahmad, who easily gets around the outside of the banking and down the main straight. Looks like, ooh, Hamel Smith might be in trouble. Here comes Ubera.
Yeah, here comes Ubera, but I'm also looking at Cam Porter. I think Cam Porter's carrying a little bit of damage. Well, I mean, he got slammed into the side there. Of course he would be, but I think it may be affecting his top speed. Something we're going to have to keep an eye out for, but here comes Ubera on Hamel Smith. Nowhere for him to go, though, as again, more GTP traffic comes around, and that does not hold up. But on the exit there, that will hold up Hamel Smith, and that allows Ubera to go, thank you very much. I'm just going to take this side by side.
Down into Slotemacher. Looks like Ubera is going to be ahead by the time they get to Shevlock. Well done. That puts him into P8. I took a look at Porter's car. He does have damage, but it was on the driver's left, which is not where he got hit. And that was from before his incident. I couldn't quite see if he had damage on the driver's right of the car, but I think you're right that surely it must have at least put a dent in it. I'm not seeing any from this camera angle, though.
No, and I'm not seeing anything from driver's right, but you would have thought with such a slide like that from Ruiz. Again, it wasn't his intention to hit him, of course. I think it was just a miscommunication of understanding the speed difference there. But you would have thought there'd be some sort of damage. But no, I can't see any damage at the moment. But Cam, I think he needed to, I think he unloaded a few boxes of neutrals himself there after that little hit, especially going through the traffic.
Yeah, for those not familiar, Cam created a box of neutrals award that is been handed over for the most improved driver in the series. Doug Cloud currently holds it, and he's been sending the little N's inside that stand for neutral that's inside the box to the drivers who deserve it, as the 46 has had a problem. Try to figure out where this is.
Oh, he's off in the gravel. Now, has he had a moment? That looks like that's Shevlock. So let's have a quick look at what happened here for Ackerman. He's already a few laps down. He's had a moment here, so he's on the start-finish straight here. So I might be wrong here. It might be Tarzan. Has he actually just caught a moment here at the banking here? I think he has around the outside. That's a car. That's 32. And the 32 there is Gabbiani. I think Gabbiani just understeered there.
Yeah, he dove it in, and he made the corner, but I wouldn't say he had the greatest of presentation on that one. And that punted off the 46 in the process. So Ackerman in the wall, probably a little bit of damage. He is rolling, but probably not happy as, the battle between Olsen and Reed now. This is for the top 5 in the GTPs.
Yeah, Olsen lost that P4 to Javier Del Olmo, and I believe that happened during the multi-class traffic phase. So he has lost the position, but he's still there in P5. He's still +1 for the day, but now he's got Reed and Fuertes there. Now, I didn't want to louse the cork in the champagne bottle, but just look how quickly Javier has managed to pull away from Laus after that. But at the same time, that traffic just holding up Timothy and Pepe, it just allowed Laus to just get ahead. Just one more to get by. It's Yuko Leskula. It's going to get by with no problem, and that will hold up Reed and Fuertes from 9 and 10.
Yep, this is what Olsen needs to just try and put some distance between himself and his rivals. And yeah, he absolutely is able to do that here. You could see Reed having to go super wide out of turn 8.
Yep. I call it a bookmark for a reason, Joe, and I'll continue to call it a bookmark for a reason. And that's just what he needed. But now he's going to have to rely on his raw speed, because the next lap car will be a lap GTP. So he's going to have to hope that he can just keep pushing here. Maybe P4's out the question. We'll wait and see. There's only 17 minutes left in the race. It has come and gone pretty fast. but he needs to just hope that he can just keep proper clean laps, nice clean air, can just work for him there. And a late move there, looked like by Pepe, but again, it's so tough to outbraking these cars at Tarzan.
Well, it's also easy to get it wrong on the throttle, as you just saw, and Fuentes takes over that spot off of Timothy Reed with ease after that one. Speaking of Lescala, since you brought him up, and I don't think he wants to be simply the Book of the Month club, he is still leading this race, and by a pretty good margin, by about 9 seconds over this man, Topi Cortinemi.
It's always the case of who can stop Lescala, and usually the answer is Del Olmo and vice versa if we just go for a quick replay here. Cortinemi almost having a few moments. Oh, whoa, just oh my word. And that gets a car go by, and he's had to hold on. How has he kept that thing going? And how has he kept that thing going in P2 still?
I was just going to say, he was a little closer than this earlier. And wow, that unfolded very, very quickly. That 3 wide did not work by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and he does a whole 720-degree rotation. I was going to say 360 there, but he's done that 720 and just gone, okay, I better just start going. So keep an eye on those. I wanted to say keep an eye on those lap times, Joe. He matched Lescala last lap. So that car has been hit, spun, hit a wall, and is still matching Lescala.
So that was Silbernagel that got spun around, and Ruiz actually managed to make it through, but he's kind of the one that kicked that off. Oh, no, he did not make it. He is in pit lane. He's got a meatball flag, so he must have gotten damage from the little touch that he had in there. And this has left some very unhappy drivers, I can assure you, as we're down to the last 15 minutes. So hopefully the frustrations will end for some soon.
Yep, hopefully will end for some. We've got Timothy Reed on board. Laus Dalton is in front. Pepe Fuertes got by into the run-up for Tarzan on this lap. And you start to see, I need to check, because all of a sudden, yes, Laus does have a little bit of damage to his driver's left. I don't know if that's going to be causing some top speed issues, but all of a sudden, he's gone from battling for the podium to down in 6th position. Now, keep an eye on what Reed does here on the exit here of Arie Luyendyk. Maybe Laus has a little bit of top speed damage here.
Let's see. This is the place to show it. It's the longest straightaway on the track, and it's not enough, unfortunately. Ooh, a little bit around the outside there for Kurt Clapper, who is a lap down, so he's staying out of the way of this group who are battling for position. Fuentes starting to run away. Del Olmo has left them in the dust. He's now 3.5 seconds up the road from Pepe. So, yeah, there you see him go by. There's just really not much to it right here as we come up over the hill and into Shevelock once again. Timothy Reed, if he does have better speed than Laus, he's not been able to take advantage of it.
No, but Pepe Fuertes has been able to take advantage of it, because look all of a sudden, almost pulling a second away from Laus, and now he's going to lose all that as he gets held up by Tupelo in at the corner. But look how wide Laus goes there, a mistake there, a little bit of understeer, probably just the tyres just starting to heat up a little bit, and that allows Timothy to have a look. But again, here comes the lap traffic, and that is Mika Tupelo. Going to have to wait. Tupelo will go to the right. He gets onto the throttle. No, he goes to the left. That may just hold up Laus a little bit, but Timothy cannot take advantage.
Back on the banking out of Luyendyk. Yeah, he's too far away to really catch up on that slipstream. He's going to pull forward somewhat, and he runs out of straightaway here down into turn 1 once again. Time's going to start running out if he doesn't really get up on the horse here.
Yeah, and he's going to have to hopefully use what he can. If there is any damage to Laus Dalton's car, I can just see a little ripple there, then it's not helping him at the moment. But there are other battles going on. Seamus Power currently sitting in 6th position. He's had a pretty decent race so far. He's made up 5 positions. He's just trying to hold on. I say that, he almost just kept running into the back there from Kreitrig. He's trying to head to the back of Martioli to get that 5th position. But yeah, 5 places for Power. Really good drive.
Have to admit, I'm a little sad that we haven't seen more racing here from the GTOs, and it's not because we've been intentionally avoiding them. There just hasn't been much in the way of battles out here today. We've had a couple that we've been able to cover, but they've all separated very quickly.
Yeah, it was very surprising how quickly they went. And like I said, in some respects, the multi-class traffic did not help them as well. In fact, that might have also split a lot of the cars up. So it's one of those things, Power trying to catch up. There are other battles around the field as well. Cam Porter, Hamill Smith, and Langs, they've just been all bunched up near the back of the field as well, but nothing going on there at the moment. But just look at how these cars have to take these corners. We haven't seen the GTOs take this corner, and the way Power just dipped down there, when we saw an issue earlier in the race with one of the GTOs, that's one of the reasons that the GTP cannot go down quickly as the GTOs.
Yeah, they're using the grunt of that four-wheel drive, I imagine, trying to straight line off that exit, whereas the GTP is just trying to stay glued to the track with the downforce all the way around the outside as they come into the braking now of turn 8. This battle starting to heat up a little bit. Marty Ollie not only has Seamus behind him, but Bjorn Ackerman and Javier Del Olmo, who are not fighting for position, are trying to lap them.
Yeah, but at the same time, Javier Fuertes is only 2 seconds behind Javier, so he doesn't want to be held up too much, and he managed to get by. There in the background is Pepe Fuertes, so it's almost a little bit of squeaky bum time there for the likes of Laos. We've got a spinning car there. That is Jesus Arunda there having a small moment. But this is the problem now. Power gets a little bit moved out there by Pepe Fuertes. Timothy Reed's going to come up around him as well. Let's just see what lines they take. Actually, Timothy has to wait. But that has not helped Seamus in this battle for P5 because Marty continues to just get the advantage of multiclass.
Well, that's what you got to use, is whatever you've been dealt, use it to your advantage where possible. Meanwhile, here comes Laust Olsen. He's going to stay patient, rocks up behind them, and tries to see if he can get the launch off of Hugenholtz here. Now he's going to be able to sneak his way past either side of them up through Schlotemacher into Sheevlock, down to less than 10 minutes to go. Valenteu still your leader in the GTPs, and Leskala still your leader in the GTOs. There is Adrius. Right now, already has taken at least one win this season, about to make it 2, it looks like.
Yeah, you know, this reminds me of a peacock. That's what this literally reminds me of. You know, the feathers on a peacock when they're in mating season. That's what it reminds me of, as well as just a nice little trip. But he has been so dominant. In fact, him and Syandra are just matching lap times now. There is no necessity. Sai can't catch him at this moment with 8 minutes left. It's going to be tough to overcome a 10-second lead, and there's Duka Leskler as well. He's been out ahead as well, and ever since that moment with Courtenemi, Topi has been trying to catch up there, but just not been going his way today. Leskler comes on by. Seamus Power, though, we were looking at that battle earlier. I think he may finally have a chance of a run here. He has had the multi-class traffic work for him. Here he comes around the corner. Marty Ollie is going to have to take the defensive line. Side by side down into turn 1. And Power still can't seem to do it, or he's going to cut back underneath, but denying him, it looks like Marty. Oh, did Ollie just miss a shift? Yes, he did miss the shift. So unfortunately, he's going to lose that position, and that allows Seamus to get that P5. Made up 6 positions now. A fantastic drive for Seamus in that Nissan livery on an Audi, as I groan as I say that, but he continues on. Now he's on the defense with less than 8 minutes left. He's going to have to hold on to this. Marty is a decent driver, and he will be harassing Seamus. Oh. And we've got a big wreck at the back there with Nick Lanks, and I believe that is Jamie Hamill-Smith. It is indeed. He's facing the wrong way at a narrow part of the track where it's going to be hard for him to get turned around, and a blind one on top of it. Now he's well far ahead of Nick. Does he just... no, Nick... Oh. Nick tries to dive it in, and he definitely was not going to be able to make that move successfully. No, it's not a corner. Not a corner you can dive it into. I know it's a corner, but it's a banked corner, and it's just one of those that you just have to just pay your time on it, and you have to accept it, and that's just side by side. You're at the start of a race. You're not going to be making up positions on that corner. I think he just got a little bit of the ambitious there, and unfortunately it did cost him a position. It's cost Jamie Hamill-Smith possibly his race. But here's Martioli. Can he go for a move here? He won't be able to do it this time. You just got to start thinking that if he continues to catch on, that one mistake may haunt him in the next 6.5 minutes.
Well, Jamie did actually retire after that accident, so he's out of this race now. As we watch Ollie still hold on to the back of Power. He's been overtaken, but he's not giving it up easily. As we look back, there is that Nissan logo on the back wing of the Audi, just to be cute here. And up and over into the swift right-hander. Let's see, is that Jungbluth? Yeah, it looks like Jungbluth trying to find his way past. No, that's Quesada, actually, that's trying to come through. Same paint scheme.
Yeah, that caught me off as well, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, that is Quesada getting through. You see, I think that did hold up Marty a little bit there as they went through. Pepe Fuertes, though, is now in a battle with Timothy Reed, and he's been forced wide. Off that camera, and Timothy Reed's going to take that as easy as you want, and he's going to hold on to that P5, but they're still fighting, and almost there. Did Pepe have a move, but he's not going to do it. Can he make this wide? He's gone very wide at the top of the banking Husenholt, but now he can't hold on. That was going to be a really good move around the outside, but again, that is the nature of the modern day version of this track, Joe. That camber, I go on about it so much, it's costing.
Yep, but this all started with traffic costing Fuentes. He was ahead of Reed, and they just caught it at the wrong time. They've got Doug Cloud and Jesus Amandare up ahead, so they have a couple more chances before this race is over to maybe use that as a pick. See if Fuentes can return the favor here.
Let's just see what happens. They're going to have to wait for a couple more corners. Javier Del Olmo's in front as well now, and Javier's getting a little bit held up here, and that could be something to keep an eye out for. Could be a free car battle if the traffic continues to work against Del Olmo. But around they go for the final corner. Who takes it high? Who takes it low? Well, they're forced to take it wide, and high goes Timothy Reed on board with Doug Cloud. He sees it. He's just chilling. That's him. He does not really care for this battle. A late move going in there for Pepe Fuertes. Can't make it. Pick move? No pick move at the moment. But Jesus is right there. There could be a move.
Holds off to the side, and no, still nothing to give either one of them the advantage. And I can tell you that Mika Tupola, while he is the next one, he's a ways up the road. So, yes, they might catch him, but it's going to be towards the end of this race.
Going to be tough to even use that now. It's just going to have to come down to the downforce and the overspeed of this car, and it's not really trimmed out for overspeed, so Pepe's going to have to use what he can. Look at the speed they get through Masters into 9 and then into 10. Javier Del Olmo's in front. You've got to think Timothy is begging for Javier to pull a Carlos Sainz here and just use him to help him pull him away with some slipstream. It's not working. He does get a little bit better exit there. It's a turn 10, but down the longest straight, well, the third longest straight even, off the track into Hans Ernst, and who gets the better run? I think Pepe just clipped the gravel there. He's not going to get the launch off.
No, he's not quite there. He's got to get much closer than that, and there is Tupola. I thought it was going to be a while before they got up to him, but the lap times are so dramatically different here. In fact, a minute 20 left means that we're 3 laps left to go as Valenteus had crossed the line shortly ago. Oh, a spinner in front. Is that Lanks again?
Yes, it is. I think he must have had an issue trying to get on the throttle where he's carrying damage that causes that, and that almost caused Timothy Reed to go into the side of him, and he was able to avoid it at the last moment, and Pepe keeping his eyes open as well to see what was happening in front.
So good job on Nick for holding on the brakes to make sure he didn't lose that position. And that's actually put him back in touch with, I was going to say Doug Cloud, but he and Jesus are fighting for positions a lap down from him. So guess it's not really much of his concern in that situation. As we check out the raging fight between Reed and Fuentes. Fuentes with a good exit off of 9, but not good enough as they break down into the Hans Ernst chicane. And here is Cam Porter once again. Will he be able to stay out of their way? It looks like this is a good chance for 1 and 2 to go through.
Yeah, but the key thing there was it allowed Del Olmo to get more gap there because he almost was in trouble. So getting past Doug before he got into Hans Ernst was vital. And I think he might be asking Doug if he could make him a wooden bookshelf after that, because that was a little bit of a bookmarking move himself. Almost in now. The pick again. Rivera there trying to just hold up Timothy Reed. And just when Timothy thinks that he's safe, he isn't, because all of a sudden another one comes in. Pepe has to wait, but he does not have the best of runs through Hugenholtz, it seems.
Yeah, and that's going to be such an important corner to get the good exit out of. It is. It's not a straightaway all the way up to Shevelock, but it is flat out, at least in the Nissans. Just have to watch out for the GTOs on your way through there. You can see the gap that is open between the pair of them from that one incident. And to tell you how far back they are, despite battling for 5th position, there is your leader getting the white flag right now.
He's getting the white flag. I want to see where Leskala is. Leskala is just coming out of Hugenholtz, so I don't think he will see the white flag, so he may have to take one more lap himself. So it'll be very interesting to see exactly what happens in that battle. Meanwhile, elsewhere, that Pepe Fuertes Timothy Reed battle, Pepe's gone and held up by traffic. So unfortunately, he is now out of the way. He's a second behind Timothy. He's going to need some help for Timothy to try and make this move.
Looks like we got a replay here. This is Ubera off course down into the Hans Ernst chicane. Let's watch it one more time here. Oh, wow. That thing came out from under him almost as soon as he hit the brakes.
Very weird. Did he clip the grass by any chance? It didn't feel like there was something there. Not entirely sure. Got a big battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Del Olmo, Reed, and Fuertes on the final lap are all bunched up together.
But we won't be able to go to them because Valenteus is coming around the penultimate turn here out of Kumho. A little bit of lap traffic. Gomez just in front of him. But no matter to him, he's had a smooth ride here at this new track, new revised track. A win for Valenteus at Zandvoort. Who is going to follow him home with the win in the GTOs?
We'll wait and see. Del Olmo's got it here. He has to hold on to Timothy Reed. And again, Timothy could not get the exit he wants out of Hans Ernst. It's going to all come down to the slipstream. There is one GTO in front. That is Nicholas yielding. I don't think it's going to cause an issue here. Del Olmo is going to get this P4. Andra got 3rd. Van der Sant got 4th. Reed is going to have to finish 5th with Pepe in 6th. All of a sudden, the traffic just came up there for them.
And Leskala, as he's done, I think already at least once this season, is the only car on the lead lap that's going to finish on the lap that he is, because he was just ahead of the winner as they took the checkered flag. There is Cam Porter and his little battle here farther down, but it doesn't look like he's going to be close enough to capitalize on that. Behind him, Yuko Leskala going to add to his impressive tally of wins in the Camel GT series, and coming through the last couple corners. Cortinemi tried to give him a run for his money, but couldn't keep up. And then, unfortunately for him, the racing gods were not smiling, and he got caught up in someone else's problem in the race. Victory, though, for Yuko Leskala here in the Netherlands.
That makes it win 78 for Yuko Leskala in the GTOs. And he's going to celebrate in style with the trademark drift.
The winningest driver in Camel GT series right now, number 78, like you said. But that's going to lead us to a break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Zandvoort. We just saw round 3 in the Camel GT series, and well, we asked on whether or not the new version of the track would put on good racing. I'd say that's a yes. That was some exciting stuff. And Valenteus didn't make it exciting for the lead, but he did have a good, clean run to the win over Sai Andra, who finished second, and then Van de Sant, who wasn't able to qualify in the top 3, finished there and got himself a podium. Del Olmo, as we've said, he's been impressing considering he's hopped over to a very different car. But at what point does he start to challenge for wins potentially as he finishes 4th today? Timothy Reed was 5th, and Pepe Fuentes, who had a bit of a horrific start to this race, didn't do much better at the end and only was able to take 6th. Laust Olsen was 7th, and Jack David Spickett 8th. Then you've got Fabian Jungbluth in P9 ahead of Shady Ahmad, rounding out your top 10. Aaron Humphrey was all the way down in 11th. He usually climbs up the order as the race goes on, but not today. Jason Clapper did climb from 23rd to 12th, as you've got Daniel Gomez in 13th, the last one on the lead lap. Gianluca Gabbiani finished P14. He was off the track at one point. Martin Krejcik P15, and Herdy Quesadilla in the 16th spot. Brennan Lim, 17th, the last to finish. The rest of the drivers in the GTP's a DNF. It was a bit of a massacre at the lower end of that field today.
We go to the GTOs, and Jukka Leskila had a similar victory. He'll win by a lap if he was the last man to take the lap. Toby Kotanemi does finish in P2, just surviving that incident in the start-finish straight. Ian Brasfield with a really impressive P3, and Noel Lundberg with 4th. And then it's Seamus Power in 5th, making up 6 places, and Marty Ollie in 6th, with a nice little battle between those two. Ivan Obera made up 6 places as well in 7th, and so did Cam Porter in 8th. And then Mika Tupula, he did not qualify. 15 places made up P9. Nick Lance makes up 8th for P10. We get to the second page. It will be Carlos Fonseca who will be finishing in 11th. Alejandro Caride will be 12th. And then the drivers who had their issues will retire. Jesus Amarende was 13th, or Cloud 14th. Jamie Hamill-Smith we did see in 15th. Josh Brain 16th. Nicholas Yelding 17th. Ian Haycox we did see in 18th. And Timothy Vaughan and Arturus Kundelas taken out the same lap in 19th and 20th. And the rest of the drivers over train grade: Arnold Cox, Niels Holt, and Duncan Marias taken out on very early incidents.
Looks like we've got second place with us, and Sai was about 17 seconds back, so couldn't keep up the pace. But Sai, what did you think of the new track? Is this a better version of Zandvoort?
At the moment, I don't like it because I'm not quick on it. But I definitely had some work to do on both setup and my driving, because I think Audrius absolutely roasted me today on track. I just had absolutely nothing for him. It's been a while since I've got cooked in double digits on pure pace. I think I needed a little bit more wing. I was faster on the straights, but I just had nothing for him in the corners. That combined with the aero wash meant I couldn't hang on with him. And I think he was just playing faster through some of these slow, decreasing radius corners in the sector too. It's not really my strength. It's not a strength of the Nissan. So lots of inside rear locking, sort of hopping the car, just dancing with it, trying to get it to stop and turn at the same time. Just struggling all day.
Well, and we also saw that the traffic had some interesting dynamics as well, because the banking, especially through Hugenholtz and then at the last corner in Lyondike, it looked like the different modes of grip for each car made them kind of approach things drastically differently.
Yeah, and as usual, the Audis with their four-wheel drive are amazing out of the corners, but their weight sort of hampers them, and the Nissans are kind of the opposite. We're kind of slow out of the corner with the turbo lag and the lack of rear grip, especially at the slow speed. Through the banging, surprisingly, it was fairly even, especially with with coming up on an Audi there. You didn't really want to send it to the bottom of the banking because you're just slow down there with it being flat, but you really couldn't do anything else other than just sit there and wait for the exit. And then the little S's up to the top of the hill is scary because the Audis need all the track and the Nissans need to pass. So, yeah, definitely a couple sketchy situations there.
I wouldn't doubt it. We saw lots outside of you. I mean, how was it, though, in general? Because it looked like, from our perspective, yours was relatively calm compared to most of the rest of the field.
I was going to say, guessing by the number of cars I passed sitting in the pits, it was a bit more chaotic behind me. But honestly, for me, it was either because I got to the GTOs and got past them before they knew I was there, or maybe it's because they weren't as bunched up once the pack caught them. I don't know, but for me, it was pretty calm. It was pretty straightforward.
Well, glad that at least you had a nice, cool race for a podium today, and hopefully we'll get to see you at more events this season.
Well, I got third at Suzuka. I got second today. Well, let's see what happens next week.
All right, we'll see. That was Syandra, obviously racking up the podiums this season, and also getting a number of them is Topi Kortiniemi. It looks like Craig has caught up with him.
Yep, I got Topi Kortiniemi here, who got a P2 in the GTOs. And Topi, it looked like everything was going very well there until a certain moment on the start-finish straight that, well, just explain to me what happened.
Yeah, I think passing Nissan and I had a net contact in the exits on the last turn, and I was recovering that, and I didn't notice there was Nissan going to swing between us, and it all started from the net code now, so it's a racing ink, I'd say. It happens.
Yeah, I must admit, we did catch the very impressive 720-degree spin you did, and then was able to keep it going. I was quite surprised as well you were able to keep matching times with Leskler, because it did look like at the start of the race that you had the pace there with Leskler, and it looked like you were going to catch him. Is this a track that you felt comfortable with? It's the first time we've been here, of course, so has this been a surprise to you of how well the car is driven here?
I've driven this before with the old layout, but I like this new one much better. And I think we could have had a good race with Yoko if there wasn't anything happening like it was now. We had quite a matching pace in practice, so still waiting to get a good battle with him.
Be one to watch, because we are looking for someone to finally dethrone Leskler. Please, Topi, could it be you? We'll wait and see. Yeah, the bankings did work out there for you, but we're going to go from this track with bankings. Next week is Sebring. Now, I know it's for a lot of drivers, it's a favorite track for a lot of drivers. Is it something you're looking forward to?
It stops iron in my book.
That's all we need to know about that, Topi. Is there any shout outs you'd like to give before you go for the evening?
Yeah, congrats Yoga, good win, and congrats to Simon won to GTPs. Anyway, and you guys, always a good broadcast to watch afterwards. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Topi. Congratulations on the P2. Joe, that was Topi Kortiniemi, P2 in the GTOs.
And of course, Laust Olsen was trying his best today, see if he could get a good result. And though he did get a top 10, Laust, it looked like you were stuck in a race-long battle with about 4 different cars.
Yeah, that was quite busy race. Had some good battles with Delomo, Pepe, and Tim Reed, so that was quite fun. Unfortunately, I turned out to be closed of us, but that's how it goes sometimes. Really struggled with traffic today. Also apologizes to Jeff Brain and Carlos Fonseca. I wasn't very nice to them, so that was quite difficult today with the traffic, for me at least.
Now, it looked like you said, you and Javier with that battle, you guys pretty close on pace. Would you say that you can notice a difference in the way he drives this car compared to those that haven't driven the Audi and know kind of what they can do? Do you feel like that has been informing some of how he's dealing with the traffic around you guys?
Haven't really noticed that, I must say. He does quite well, I think, better than me at least, and that's been quite a common trait for this season. That not today, but sometimes I beat him in qualify, but in the race he tends to catch up when we get to the traffic. So he does it quite well, I must say. So, but it's been some good battles with him. through the season.
As for your race in this season, we head to Sebring up next. You managed to at least keep the car going to the finish without too much problems compared to what we've seen before. Do you feel good? Do you feel like things are kind of turning around a little bit?
I hope so. But let's see. The last week or two have been quite good. My I rating is going up again, so that's nice. But yeah, Sebring poses other challenges also traffic-wise. There's some quick corners with very big speed difference between the GTOs and the GTPs, so that's going to be interesting as well.
Well, we're going to knock on our favorite pieces of wood for you. Hope that the luck continues,
Thanks.
and best of luck at Sebring.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Laust Olsen finishing 7th today. And one last one. Looks like Craig has caught up with Cam Porter.
Yep, I have Cam Porter with me right now. Started in 14th position, made it up to 8th, Cam. 6th position game today. Looked like it was a very fun race out there. Almost had another with a late battle with Ivan Rivera at the end there.
Yeah, that was a really fun race today. I had a very long battle with Jamie and Ivan. Ivan is a new name that I haven't seen in the series before, but I think he's obviously quicker than I am, but he was making a lot of mischiefs. I could hear his car making mischiefs. So once he got it together, though, he was able to pass me and sort of pull away. But that was a really fun race. I'm very happy to have finished it safely and maybe break out of this bad luck streak I've been having in the Audi lately.
Yeah, you talk about safely. We did see earlier in the race, you had a small contact with, I think it was Hamilton Ruiz there. And then all of a sudden the traffic came on you. And I made a comment saying that you might have just made yourself a new box of neutrals coming out there, because traffic looked very chaotic at some points when you're in that little tin can of a GTO. Would you agree?
Yeah, this track seems to exacerbate the speed difference between the classes. So it was really, really important to try to predict where cars are going. And speaking of that, I have to apologize to Pepe Fuente. I had tried to I was letting another GTP pass on the outside of the final corner, and I moved over to get back on the racing line and try to get a draft, and I kind of held him up a little bit. So apologies to him for that. And I had damage on the left side of my car because I think every car that I saw ahead of me hit the exit wall, exiting the last corner on the first lap. I thought that was kind of funny that everybody slid out wide there and scraped that wall. Thankfully, my damage didn't hurt me too much, and I was able to have a good battle and a fun race.
Yeah, it looked like a fun race, and we go from an unknown to next week, as we were talking about. It's a known track next week at Sebring. I'm pretty sure that you're very looking forward to Sebring, but please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'd love to race Sebring. Unfortunately, I will not be able to make the race because I will be traveling next weekend. But I'm looking forward to doing the midweek race and coming back the week after.
Well, Cam, we won't see you next week, but we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. So enjoy your trails, and we look forward to seeing you later on in the season. That, Joe, was Cam Porter, who finished P8 in the GTOs.
And that's going to wrap up our interviews. So a big thank you goes out to the Camel community for bringing us back for another season of coverage, and to the team today, Craig, Bobbert, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and a merchandise store. But don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because like we said, we're going to be back with Sebring Saturday, October 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern. But be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.